Elon Musk reveals shocking secret about his phone and surprises millionaire owner. The whole city buzzed with whispers that morning. Elon Musk himself had dropped a bombshell about his latest creation, a smartphone unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Not just sleek or powerful, but alive with secrets. The kind of secrets that made everyone's skin crawl. James Carter sat in a small cafe, coffee cold in front of him, eyes glued to his phone as Musk's live stream split the quiet buzz of the place. Musk's grin was sharp, almost dangerous, as he casually mentioned a hidden feature buried deep inside the phone circuitry. Not just another gadget, Musk said, voice low and deliberate. A device that listens, learns, controls. James leaned forward. His heart thudded hard in his chest. Something was off. Musk showed a quick demo. Phone screens lighting up with ghostly images. Conversations captured without prompts. Private thoughts teased out from seemingly invisible data. Not. Confused, scared, furious users flooded the feed with questions. Then the screens went black. A shadow slipped behind Musk, a man James recognized. Tommy Blake, his childhood friend, now one of the richest and most ruthless men in tech. The unspoken tension was electric. Everyone in the cafe turned, whispering with wide eyes. That can't be real. Are they spying on us? This is madness! James's fingers trembled. His mind raced back to the skyscrapers jutting into the smog-heavy sky outside. Towers built on innovation or illusions. The phone was supposed to usher in a new era. Instead, it felt like a trap. Suddenly, a sharp pang hit James's gut. What if the rumors were true? That the phone's learning feature wasn't for helping users, but controlling them? What if millions were about to become puppets tangled in wires they couldn't even see? His phone buzzed. A message from Tommy. "Stop digging, James. Some stones are better left unturned." The words stung. Betrayal wrapped tight around James's chest like ice. He stepped outside. The city roared, a wild beast of glass towers, flashing ads, and endless noise. Somewhere in that crowd, the truth waited, dangerous and hidden. James didn't know if he was ready. He felt scared, alone, part of a game much bigger than him. But he knew one thing. If he didn't expose this, if he stayed silent, millions would suffer. Privacy would die a silent death, and freedom would slip through his fingers like smoke. A lump caught in his throat. Could he fight a giant empire? What about the people he loved? What price would he pay? And the most terrifying thought, who could he really trust now? Musk? Tommy? Himself? A cold wind cut through the street. James's eyes narrowed. The game was on. But the rules? They were nowhere to be found. What dark secret really hid inside that phone? And how far would they go to keep it buried? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. And let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. James's heart pounded harder in his chest as he stepped into the chaos of the street. The icy wind swept around him, but it wasn't the cold that made him shiver. It was the weight of his own thoughts. He felt that dark temptation. Maybe he should just walk away. Just forget it. But he couldn't. Before he could take another step, a deafening explosion shook the ground. Windows shattered like glass raindrops, sending shards gliding through the air. A bus screeched to a halt. People screamed. James stumbled backward. Panic erupted. Adrenaline surged. He looked around, trying to make sense of the chaos. Smoke blossomed in the distance, rising over the buildings like a monstrous creature. A crowd of faces twisted in horror. He could see the fear etched on their expressions. Everyone was running, pushing past him, desperate for safety, and then he saw it. A large black van, tires smoking, barreling away from the scene. A figure jumped out, obscured by the smoke and shadows, but James caught a glimpse. It was Tommy. He didn't just look rich and ruthless. He looked terrified. "Tommy!" James shouted, but the din swallowed his voice. Then he felt a hand grip his wrist. It was a stranger, eyes wide with fear. "We've got to get out of here!" she yelled, pulling him away from the chaos. "No! I need to find Tommy!" But the girl dragged him, her grip surprisingly strong, pulling him into a nearby alley. The echoes of panic began to fade behind them, but they still felt trapped in a cage of confusion and horror. "Do you know what just happened?" the girl asked, breathless. "Something's not right. I saw that van near the launch." "You saw the video. Who knows what this means?" The implications of her words hit him like a punch. The phone! Did the explosion have anything to do with the device? Why would Tommy be fleeing? What secrets were intertwined with this chaos? Suddenly, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. Ignoring the girl's protests, he pulled it out. The screen flickered with a message from Musk. It read, "If you've seen this, it's too late. Trust no one." A chill slithered down James's spine. He looked up at the girl. "How do you know about this?" he asked, suspicion slicing through the air. I worked for Tommy," she stammered, glancing back at the chaos. "But he's not who you think. You were right. He's been using that phone. It's not just a tool, it's a weapon. A way to control." The street felt like it was spinning. Betrayal tangled the air around them. "What do you mean?" James managed, his voice shaky. "I can show you, but you have to trust me," she pleaded. "He's planning something big. The phone isn't just a gadget. It taps into everything. It connects to all of us. Conversations, thoughts, maybe even memories. We could all be manipulated." James's mind raced. Was Tommy really using the phone for control? How deep did this deception go? Without warning, a blinding flash lit the alley. He turned, shielding his eyes. A massive drone hovered above them, armed with a pulsating light. It whirred menacingly, scanning the ground with piercing intensity. "Run!" the girl shouted. They darted into another alley, racing for cover, as the drone swept low, casting a shadow that felt like a grim omen. Everything around him felt like a lie, a web of conspiracies and terrible truths. Who could he trust now? Did he even know himself anymore? The city, once a place of thrills and innovation, now looked like a battlefield. James didn't know where they were heading, but he knew one thing. The game had changed, and stakes just got impossibly higher. All the while, the insidious question lingered like smoke. Was he the puppet or the puppeteer? A siren blared in the distance, but he barely heard it over the storm of uncertainty raging within him. His fingers trembled on his phone, and the mystery of that hidden device felt darker than ever. What madness had he stepped into? What awaited him in the shadows? James took a shaky breath. The city pulsed with energy, but all he felt was dread. Tommy's warning echoed in his mind. Stop digging. What did he know? Was he in danger for even thinking about it? But the secret gnawed at him, scratching away at the edges of his resolve. He weaved through the throngs of people, trying to shake the creeping fear. The air felt electric. Strangers brushed past him, each face a mask of oblivion. Distracted, he glanced at his phone. Just then, another text beeped through. This time, it was from an unknown number. "You're closer to the truth than you think. Watch your back." His heart raced. Who was this? An ally? A threat? He stepped back, pressed against the cold glass of a nearby storefront. Thoughts spiraling. The buzz of conversations turned into a dull roar in his ears. Words swirled. Control, privacy, betrayal. Then emotion caught his eye. A group of people had gathered at the corner. They pointed at something. A screen flickered to life above them, news coverage of Musk's launch from earlier. But something was wrong. The tone was different. A voice, a bold, urgent voice, echoed through the crowd, cutting through the noise. "We have proof that this phone is not just listening. It's manipulating." James squeezed in for a closer look. The reporter was frantically relaying messages from insiders. Encrypted documents, screen grabs of ominous plans. It sent chills racing down his spine. This device taps into our deepest fears, and they know how to pull the strings. Then, suddenly, a scream pierced the air. The crowd turned. A figure stumbled out of an alleyway, wild-eyed, clutching a smartphone. "They're coming!" he yelled, his voice cracked. Panic riding every syllable. "They know everything! Get away!" Everyone froze. James's eyes widened. The figure glanced around like a wild animal cornered, then locked eyes with James. It was a moment of recognition. Derek! A childhood friend, once vibrant and full of life. Now, taut and trembling, he seemed a ghost of himself. "Derek?" James stepped forward, heart racing. "What happened to you?" But before he could reach him, Derek collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. "Lights! In the darkness!" he wheezed, shaking, holding the phone up as if it were the source of his torment. "They control the light, the sound, everything!" Gasps erupted from the crowd. James's stomach churned. What was Derek talking about? Was he hallucinating, or was this all real? Suddenly, James's phone buzzed again. A notification from the live feed. It had resumed, but what he saw froze his blood. Musk was back on screen, face pale, eyes wide, speaking with a frenzied urgency. "We have lost control. Release the failsafes." The words dripped with weight. The air thickened as whispers of failsafes slithered through the gathering. A collective gasp rose. "Wait, what failsafes?" Before anyone could react, the screen erupted in static, then blanked out. A loud crash echoed as a nearby shop's window shattered. A dark figure, hooded and menacing, emerged from the shadows, pointing a weapon. Everybody down. Chaos erupted. People screamed and raced to escape. But James stood frozen, staring at the drama unfolding like some disastrous play. He could hardly breathe. Panic surged as he realized, oh so clearly, this was bigger than he'd ever imagined. What was in that phone? What secrets were they truly hiding? And Derek? Was he telling the truth? James's chest tightened, fear coursing through him. He had to make a choice. Was he just a pawn in this game, or could he take a stand, even when the pieces looked stacked against him? A hard reality dawned on him. Trust no one, and time was running out. James stood frozen, terror gripping him as the launch of chaos unfolded. The hooded figure with the weapon loomed over the crowd, and the scene spiraled into pure pandemonium. People pushed and shoved, desperate to escape the madness, the air thick with fear and confusion. James's heart raced, but he couldn't bring himself to move. And then, a voice broke through the chaos. "Wait! Stop!" It was Tommy. He burst from the shadows, his expression betraying panic, eyes wild. "You need to listen to me!" The crowd hesitated, still poised for flight, shifting like a frightened flock. James's heart sank. Could he trust Tommy? "Derek!" Tommy shouted, running toward the crumpled figure on the ground. "What did you see? What do you know?" Derek struggled to catch his breath. They're interfacing, manipulating everything through the phones," he gasped. Tommy, you shouldn't be here." Every eye turned on Tommy, suspicion sinking in like ice. James could barely breathe. He sensed a shift, something deeper than the obvious chaos. Tommy's face was as pale as death, sweat beading on his brow. Suddenly, the hooded figure took a step forward, weapon aimed squarely at Tommy. "Tell them the truth, now." Tommy's eyes darted like a trapped animal. "I swear, I didn't know. I thought it was just tech, just innovation." His voice wavered, desperation spilling forth. But there was something in his eyes, something dark. Just then, there was another explosion. A deafening boom that sent pieces of debris raining down. James ducked instinctively. His heart thundered in his chest. He had to shield himself from the shards of glass that filled the air like shrapnel. But when he looked up, a horrifying realization settled like a stone in his stomach. A swarm of drones emerged from above, gliding menacingly, their lights flashing like angry fireflies. They zoomed down, zeroing in on Tommy. "Release the fail-safes!" one drone buzzed, its robotic voice cutting through the chaos. Then another drone chimed in, its sound distorted. "Fail-safes activated. Begin data retrieval." James's breath caught in his throat. Was this really happening? The phone, the chaos, it was all connected. A lump formed. He realized he had stepped into an unimaginable web of lies. But the true shock came next. As more debris fell, a deep rumble echoed. It was like the ground itself was reacting to the madness. The drones whirled back, stunned as a massive screen lowered from the sky, revealing Musk's face on a broadcast, his eyes dark and heavy with shadows. "You want the truth? Here it is!" The screen flickered, revealing hidden footage. James's gut twisted as he recognized the faces. Friends he thought he knew, supporters of Tommy, all gathered in a room discussing plans. But it wasn't just mundane chatter. They spoke of data, control, manipulation, all poised around that cursed phone. And Tommy isn't just a bystander. Musk's voice echoed chillingly. He's the architect of this madness. James's world spun. Tommy? The monster. Reality fractured before him. Had James known him at all? Tommy turned, the look of a cornered rat in his eyes. You don't understand. I was trying to help us evolve. We'd be unstoppable. Help us evolve? James shouted, the tremor of betrayal mixing rage with confusion. You've turned us into puppets! Panic swallowed the crowd, the air thick with betrayal. The truth washed over them like icy water. But before anyone could react, jets of darkness erupted from the drones, striking at Tommy, illuminating his face as it twisted into a grin. Now you'll know! And then, everything went black. James felt the impact, an explosion of darkness that wrapped him up tight. Where was he? Was this the end? Had the game finally swallowed him whole? Amid the pitch blackness, a single thought raced through his mind. What had he stumbled into? What would happen next? James stepped outside, the biting cold wind swirling around him. He was still reeling from Tommy's message. His mind raced. How did he get dragged into this? The bustling city, normally a backdrop of possibility, now felt like a cage. Just then, the phone in his pocket buzzed again. A notification, a video link from an anonymous account. He hesitated, heart pounding, then clicked it. The screen erupted with a live clip. Elon Musk speaking passionately, a crowd hanging on his every word. But this time, the content was different. What you just witnessed is just the beginning, Musk declared, his voice dripping with charisma. We've integrated something revolutionary. James squinted at the flickering screen. A zoom, a close-up shot of a familiar face. Tommy Blake, lips moving hastily, tension knotting his brow. It's not just a phone, it's a control device, tracking everything. We need to pivot. The video then cut to static, leaving an eerie silence. James's breath hitched. Control device? What did that mean? He glanced around. Faces in the cafe were frozen in shock. Some gaped, while others frantically typed messages. The atmosphere thick with anxious whispers. His hands trembled. Was Tommy a part of this? Was he in too deep? Another buzz, another text from Tommy. You're not seeing the full picture, James. The air grew heavier, buzzing with uncertainty. He stepped into the street, overwhelmed. Suddenly, his attention was drawn to a nearby alley. Shadows shifted. Figures cloaked in black. James squinted, trying to make sense of the scene. Then, chaos exploded. A loud crash echoed, reverberating like a gunshot. A sleek black van skidded to a halt. Doors swung open, and figures poured out. Masked and armed. Panic sliced through the crowd. Screams erupted. People scattered in every direction. But his body felt frozen, charged with adrenaline. Get down! A voice bellowed. James instinctively ducked, heart racing, as shots fired. The world spun into chaos. The barista from earlier dove behind the counter, her face pale, eyes wide with fear. Could this be the reaction to Musk's revelation? James's thoughts collided. In one moment, his reality had unraveled. Tommy, the phone, everything. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his wrist, yanking him down behind a trash bin. James looked up, and his heart raced again. It was Tommy. His expression was wild, desperation shining in his eyes. "We need to go," he hissed, dragging James further into the alley. "Why, Tommy? What's happening?" "Trust me," Tommy panted, glancing back nervously as more shots rang out. "They're after the phone, and they know you're involved now." "Me? I didn't do anything." Not for long. There was a pause, a flicker of something in Tawny's gaze. Fear? Guilt? "They'll blame you if we don't get out. The secrets are bigger than you think." Secrets? James felt his stomach churn. The darkness around him pressed in. Before he could react, Tommy pulled out something from his jacket, a small, sleek device that looked like a phone. "This is what they want," he shouted, holding it up. "It's not what it seems." Just then, the static buzz of a drone overhead shattered the air. A spotlight blazed down on them. James's heart raced. Everything twisted, thoughts colliding. Was Tommy a friend or a foe? What had he gotten himself into? As the drone hovered closer, James glanced back at the chaos unfolding. The crowd stampeded like a wild animal. His future felt like a sinking ship. Whatever truth lay behind Tommy's words, it was about to burst open. The rules of the game had changed. Now, it was a matter of survival, and everything he thought he knew hung by a thread. What dark forces were coming for him? And could he untangle the web before it ensnared him for good? James stepped into the bustling street, adrenaline pounding in his veins. Fear gripped him, deep and unsettling. The city felt alive, each noise a reminder of the danger circling him. His phone buzzed again in his pocket, but he ignored it. The weight of his thoughts was heavier than any notification. He moved quickly, weaving through the crowd, each face a blur. But deep down, he felt eyes on him, a sense of dread that made the hairs on his neck stand. Out of nowhere, a figure appeared beside him. It was Mia, his former partner at the tech firm, her expression a mix of urgency and fear. "James, you need to listen to me," she said, breathless. "It's worse than you think." His heart sank. "What do you mean?" "The phone. It's not just spying. It's connected to a network, an underground system of control. They can manipulate thoughts, twist desires. This isn't just Elon's tech. It goes deeper." James felt the world shift beneath him. "You're talking conspiracy theories. This can't be real. Think, James. What do you really know about Tommy? About your own involvement?" Her eyes bore into him, demanding truth. All the memories of late-night code sessions and secret plans flickered in his mind like an old film reel. Before he could respond, chaos erupted behind them. A loud explosion disrupted the street, shaking the ground. James and Mia turned in horror as a nearby building erupted in flames. Debris raining down. "Get back!" he shouted, pulling Mia away from the danger. Panic spread like wildfire. People screamed and ran, a wave of fear crashing into them. James's heart pounded. Was this an attack? A demonstration of power? Or a distraction? Amid the chaos, a figure stumbled out of the smoke. A man, bloodied and disoriented, holding a smartphone in his trembling hands. It was Tommy. "James!" he gasped, eyes wide with a mix of pain and desperation. You have to stop them. He's been watching us." "What are you talking about?" James rushed to him, but as he approached, Tommy's face contorted in terror. "They're here! They know!" Before James could reach him, there was another explosion, sending both James and Mia sprawling. The ground shook beneath them, and in that split second, Tommy's eyes locked on James, a warning lodged in his terrified expression. An instant later, he was consumed by flames. "No!" James shouted, struggling to his feet, disoriented. The world around him blurred, his heart racing. People cried. Others were frozen in shock. The chaos felt surreal. Mia grabbed his arm, pulling him along. "We need to go, now!" As they ran, James's mind spun. Who could he trust? Musk? Tommy? Even Mia, who seemed more involved than he realized. The air crackled with tension. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What if their old camaraderie with Tommy had been a facade? What if the truth was lurking just out of reach? They ducked into an alley, the distant sirens screaming a warning. A thought hit James, a chilling realization. Tommy had to have known, knew what was coming, and maybe had a hand in it. But why warn him so late? Cold sweat dripped down his back. A shadow loomed in the darkness ahead, and he froze. It wasn't over. The urgency was palpable. Something terrible was about to surface, and the very people he thought he could trust were now potential threats. "Mia, we need to find out." But before he could finish, she grabbed his collar, pulling him close. "James, we need to talk. There's something you don't know." His stomach dropped. What secret lay behind her words? What twisted truth was ready to explode, just like the burning building right next to them? An answer waited, and James wasn't sure if it would save him or pull him deeper into despair. The city pulsed around James, each breath of wind a reminder of the storm brewing within him. Just a moment ago, he felt the weight of potential revolution. Now it was an unbearable burden. He stared into the chaos of life, as if the roar of the street would offer clarity. But noise only drowned out his thoughts, the echo of Tommy's message ringing in his ears like a death knell. He plunged back into the cafe, determination igniting within him. "I need answers," he muttered, fingers already flying over his phone's screen. The sleek device felt sinister in his grip. Who else had it touched? Who else would be revealed? Suddenly, the air shifted. The door burst open. A woman rushed in, hair wild and eyes wide. It was Maya, the tech journalist who had always chased down stories that festered like wounds in the dark. "James!" she gasped, breathless. "We need to talk. It's bigger than you know." "Bigger?" His heart raced. "About the phone. It's not just spying. It's manipulating memories. I have proof." She held out a crumpled document, the words "intellectual property theft" glaring at him. "Manipulating memories?" The phrase felt foreign, unfathomable. How? People are losing their minds. Literally, the app is linked to neural patterns. It rewrites what we remember. Users think they're making choices, but she trailed off, eyes darting around as if shadows lurked behind the patrons seated nearby. James's chest tightened. He recalled the faces of friends who had become empty shells, lost in the game of life, each day feeling less real than the last. "You're saying it's worse than just spying?" Maya nodded, urgency palpable. "Some users asked me to look into it. They've noticed changes. Friends forget things. Relationships fracture. We're talking brainwashing, James. Before he could respond, a low rumble echoed through the cafe. The lights flickered. James felt a tremor beneath his feet. People turned, nervous glances flicking around the room. Then there was a crash like thunder. A bright flash erupted outside the windows. A massive drone, a sleek, black beast, hovered just beyond the glass, bloated and ominous. It zoomed closer, and James's skin prickled. It wasn't just a delivery drone. It was armed. He scrambled back, the uproar in the cafe erupting into chaos as people yelled, shouting for cover. Maya's face blanched. "We need to get out! Now! Why would they use drones?" James shouted over the growing panic, mind racing. "Are they trying to silence us?" "Ah, the company!" she yelled back, grabbing his arm, dragging him through the crowd. "They won't let this get out! They'll do anything to keep the truth hidden." As they bolted through the mayhem in the cafe, James couldn't shake the feeling that familiarity hung thick in the air, like an unseen hand grasping at the truth. Then, as they emerged onto the street, gunfire erupted, a loud, jarring crack that made his heart stop. People screamed. James turned just in time to see a figure in a dark suit, face obscured, sprinting away, bloodied but alive. He was holding something. A phone, James realized, one that looked eerily like the one Musk had unveiled. In that fleeting moment, connection hit him like a punch to the gut. That phone was more than just tech. It was a weapon. Everything, the spying, the memory manipulation, it all spiraled into one overwhelming truth. This wasn't just about devices. This was about control. Boom. "James," Maya breathed, eyes wild. "If they find out, you know." But before she could finish, another explosion lit up the sky. The world tilted. Everything changed. What started as a quest for answers melted into survival. The lines were blurring, and the game was bigger than either of them could comprehend. And at the center of it all, shadows swirled. Musk, Tommy, the looming corporation. Who could be trusted when everything felt orchestrated, controlled? The city roared, but James couldn't listen anymore. The question burned in his mind. How far would they go to keep these secrets buried? The city roared, alive with chaos. James felt his heart hammering in his chest, pounding like a drum. The drone hovered above, a symbol of the madness enveloping them. He looked at Maya, whose face was pale, strikingly illuminated by the drone's unyielding light. Fear sparkled in her eyes. "James, we have to move!" She tugged at his arm, trying to pull him toward an alley. But just as they turned, another explosion rocked the street, sending debris flying. The ground shook beneath them, panic surging through the crowd like a tidal wave. "Stay close," he shouted, adrenaline fueling every step. They dashed down the side street, the sound of screaming fading behind them. But with every frantic leap, a single thought nagged at him. What would it take to stop this? They paused, catching their breath in the alley shadows. Heavy footsteps echoed somewhere nearby. James peered around the corner, hoping to understand the mayhem. That's when he saw it. A group of men in black suits, all wearing earpieces, moving with purpose. They were searching, scanning the crowd, eyes darting like hawks, looking for prey. "Maya, grabe su arma. They're looking for us. We have to—" A crash interrupted her. The crowd outside erupted in chaos once more. He turned to look, The armed figures were moving in closer, and the urgency of their mission sent a chill down James's spine. "It's too risky," he murmured, trying to grasp the weight of their situation. But just then, Maya's phone buzzed in her pocket. She fished it out, eyes widening. "James, I didn't expect this." She held it up. The notification from before flashed. "The truth will rise." What truth? But before she could respond, the phone slipped from her fingertips, shattering on the ground. A wave of panic washed over them. As the screen shattered, a low hum began to vibrate through the air, surrounding them like a wave. "Do you hear that?" Maya asked, her voice rising with disbelief. Then, a deafening sound erupted from the phone's fragments. The ground trembled again, and James staggered back. The drones began to swirl around, lasers lighting up the night sky. A control signal? Suddenly, a shadow fell across James, pulling him back into the alley as another figure joined them. "Keep your head down!" A familiar voice yelled. "Tommy! Tommy, how did you—" But before James could finish, Tommy's eyes went wide, filled with an emotion James had never seen from him before. Panic? Fear? "Forget that! They're mobilizing!" he shouted breathlessly. "Musk has gone off the deep end! This is a full-on war now, and we haven't even scratched the surface!" "Tell us what's happening," Maya insisted, shaking. "We can't keep running blind." But Tommy only gripped her shoulders, looking past her, as if he saw something James couldn't. "They've installed fail-safes in the phones. Maya, it's not just a connection. It's a command center. It can trigger systems worldwide. It was designed to control us before we even knew it." "What do you mean?" James felt the air thicken with realization. So all this time, suddenly, another drone swooped down, armed and menacing. It scanned the alley, detecting movement. A piercing red light swept over them, and James's stomach dropped. In a desperate move, Tommy grabbed the remnants of Maya's phone, his expression twisted, hesitation spreading on his face. "I can use this. I can hack the signal." And just like that, he pushed them back into the alley. "Stay here! I'll help you! But you have to trust me!" "Why should we?" James shot back, heart racing. "You've been part of this all along." But Tommy's eyes darkened, determination seeping through. "If you don't let me, if you don't trust me now, millions could die. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was trying to protect you in my own way." James opened his mouth to protest, but suddenly the ground shook again, this time beneath them. A loud crack echoed as a large, hidden trapdoor burst open. James's chest tightened as smoke began to waft up, twisting the air around them. A figure emerged from the darkness, backlit by the chaos above. As the smoke cleared, James's breath hitched. It couldn't be. "Musk," he whispered, unable to believe his eyes. But it wasn't just Musk standing there. It was a replica, a hologram, flickering to life, wearing the same smirk. The voice emanated through the chaos like a snake's hiss. "Welcome, James! The puppeteer is now the puppet." Shock ripped through him. Everything felt like a deception. The phone, the chaos, Tommy. Who could he truly trust? As the hologram grinned, a cruel laughter rippling through the air, James's world collapsed. What twisted reality had he stumbled into? And what waited beyond this moment? What deeper secrets would be revealed? The city howled its protest as reality twisted and turned, leaving James standing on the precipice of disaster. The hologram flickered in and out, Musk's smirk freezing in time. A chill settled over the alley, heavy and suffocating. The puppeteer is now the puppet. The simulated voice echoed, sending ripples of dread through James. Without warning, a loud crash cut through the air. The drone above them exploded into a shower of sparks, sending fragments tumbling down like confetti. Maya shrieked, pulling James back just in time as debris rained around them. Tommy was already on his feet, eyes wide with terror. "We've got to move, now!" James turned to follow, but something caught his eye. The flickering remains of the hologram, now flickering erratically like a dying flame. Just before it disappeared completely, James swore he saw a flash of something in Musk's eyes. Something familiar. He shook it off, a voice screaming in his head that they were out of time. The chaos outside intensified, people fleeing like ants from a disturbed hill. They dashed deeper into the alley, the weight of uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. "James!" Tommy barked, dragging him along, urgent, almost frantic. "You have to trust me." "Trust you?" James's voice trembled with incredulity. "You've been part of this whole time." Tommy fumbled for words, desperation oozing from him. "I was trying to protect you. Musk, he's not who you think." Before James could respond, a rumble echoed beneath their feet, an underground pulse resonating like a heartbeat. A quaking fear gripped his chest. "What is happening?" "More than you know," Tommy shouted over the noise. "They're activating the lockdown. If we don't get out now..." But something twisted in James's gut. "Get out?" A series of blinding flashes erupted around them. Lights from the drones, explosions from the chaos above. The entire street felt like a powder keg teetering on the brink. And then came the scream. A piercing, gut-wrenching sound that cut through the shouts of terror. Someone was down. He turned just in time to see a young girl, no more than 10. Collapsing in the doorway of a building, her eyes wide, mouth agape, paralyzed by fear. "No!" James yelled, instinctively rushing toward her, even as panic clutched his throat. Maya yelled after him, "James, don't!" But he couldn't stop. He dashed toward the girl, arm outstretched, heart racing. "It's okay, I'm coming." She looked right past him, her face frozen in shock. Behind her, a window shattered, lampposts lighting the ground like fireflies. For just a moment, time felt suspended. James knelt beside her, and that's when he saw it. A shimmer around her wrist, a device glinting like silver in the chaos. "Take it off! It's not safe!" he shouted. But she just stared, lost. I can't remember!" she whimpered, tears streaming down her cheeks. They took it!" "They're inside me." At that moment, everything hit like a tidal wave, overwhelming and crushing. The realization crashed over him harder than any explosion. The phones, the manipulation. It was worse than he ever imagined. They weren't just in control of technology. They were controlling memories, thoughts, people themselves. Behind him, Tommy's face paled. "The failsafes? They're activating them now! James, we need to go!" "Maya, get her out! I can't leave her!" Maya hesitated, eyes darting between James and the growing chaos behind them. But then, another explosion blasted through the air, dislodging bricks from a nearby building. "James, move!" But as he reached for the girl, grasping her hand, the ground shook violently. An overwhelming pulse shot up through the earth, like a shockwave, and then darkness. A blinding flash engulfed them all, and James felt himself thrown back. When the light faded, an eerie silence filled the air. Dust hung like fog, and he struggled to breathe as reality blurred around him. In the distance, the girl stood, now a figure shrouded in a strange, shimmering light, her eyes glowing in the darkness. "You have to remember," she whispered, voice layered with an unfathomable echo. "You're not who you think you are, either." As she spoke, a surging wave of memories flooded back, faces, moments, laughter, and then a memory of Tommy. But it was twisted, darkened. It was a past that didn't belong to him. James stumbled back. "What do you mean?" And then, just as he registered what was happening, the ground above them erupted anew, revealing a hidden passageway. The shadows twisted into figures emerging from the smoke, a horde of masked individuals, all glaring with intent. "Lockdown initiated," a voice boomed, deep and mechanized. "All subjects are to be contained." Suddenly, everything became painfully clear. "We're not just fighting for ourselves," he realized in absolute horror. "We're fighting for our souls." The girl vanished into the shadows, and just as Tommy yelled for him, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket, the screen lighting up with a new message that felt both ominous and ironic. "Welcome back, James. The real game begins now." James's heart raced as the darkness closed in. Tommy stood, frantic, hands covered in dirt and fear. They won't stop. They're ready to unleash everything they have to keep control. Maya's breath quickened beside him. "What do? We can't let them win! Not now!" The drone's screech pierced the silence as it loomed overhead, flickering lights scanning for movement. James could feel the oppressive weight of uncertainty clawing at his lungs. "It's now or never," he whispered, eyes darting around for an escape route. He turned to Tommy. "You claim you want to protect us, but can we trust you?" Tommy's face twisted with desperation. "I swear, I'll do whatever it takes to make this right, but I need your help." Before they could respond, the shadowy figures emerged, cloaked in darkness. Their tight-knit formation split the air with a chilling command. "Contain them!" It sent a chill down James's spine. He had seen this kind of authority before, and it frightened him. "Move!" Maya shouted, clutching James's arm. They sprinted deeper into the alley, adrenaline propelling them forward as shots rang out. The world felt surreal, a whirlwind of blinding lights and echoing gunfire. A sudden crack split the air when a bullet ricocheted off a nearby wall. "Dot, dot, dot." "Behind the dumpster," James ordered, heart pounding harder. They dove, huddling together beneath the steel frame, breathless. "This is it, James," Maya gasped, her eyes shining with resolve. "We need to expose this before they erase us." James nodded, grit igniting a fire within him. "We have to get to Tommy's tech garage. He has everything we need to bring this down." There was a flicker of hope, a bond forming in their shared fight. But just as determination washed over them, the drone buzzed closer, illuminating the space. Its cold light revealed their hiding spot, and panic surged anew. Up ahead, Tommy shouted, pointing toward an old maintenance entrance. They bolted, dodging the drone, the enemy closing in. Before long, they burst into the tech garage, the dim light flickering around them like a heartbeat. The place was cluttered with devices, half-finished projects scattered everywhere. Something sparked behind the shelves, a hub of screens displaying news, data from the phones, and connections solidifying their fears. "Here," Tommy shouted, pulling cables and components into sight. "If I can hack their systems, we can broadcast the truth to everyone." "Do it!" Maya encouraged, her voice ringing with determination and anticipation, urgency pounding in her chest. As Tommy worked, fingers flying across the keyboard, panic gripped James. He felt the weight of their mission pressing hard against him. They were fighting against the tide of powerful forces, but the moment they saw the truth, it would ignite a fire within others. And then it happened. A sudden burst from the screens. It flickered to life, displaying the inner workings of Musk's plans. Manipulaciones, hidden agendas. The world would see their secrets. "This will broadcast to every phone linked to their network," Tommy exclaimed, a glint of triumph lighting his eyes. "Let's hope it's enough," James murmured, feeling the tension hanging by a thread. As the broadcast launched, the ground trembled again. The drones had arrived outside, their menacing hum growing louder. "We need to move! Get ready!" Tommy shouted, a fierce look of determination on his face. But just then, the door burst open, revealing a brigade of masked figures, weapons drawn. "Capture them!" shouted the leader, eyes cold and calculating. "Here we go!" Maya yelled as they charged towards the exit. But then chaos erupted. Explosions rocked the garage, glass shattering, smoke billowing. James slammed against the ground, time freezing. Fear coursed through him, tearing at his insides. Would they escape? When the smoke cleared, they were gone. The exit lay bare, echoing. James scrambled to his feet, adrenaline surging. "We have to find them!" But in the surreal chaos, the shadows consumed everything. Just then, a sudden voice boomed over the PA system, a clear, chilling tone. "Welcome back to the game." It echoed like a taunt. A holographic face emerged. Musk, again, smirking down at them. "We're not done yet." James's heart raced as those words clawed at his soul, igniting anger and fear. But they wouldn't back down. This was just the beginning. The fight wasn't over. They had upped the stakes, but they had also taken a stand. "We're done playing your game," James shouted back, defiance surging through him like wildfire. As they burst into the open, an entire city rallied in response, eyes glued to the screens. Every phone lit up, flickering to life with truth. The tides were shifting. A storm was brewing. The path ahead was foggy. Uncertainty still loomed large. But as long as they stood together, they had a shot. The battle raged, but the first line of truth had been drawn. The outcome lay out there, bold and wild. Just then, the world went dark again. The confrontation felt infinite. But deep down, James felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they could turn the tide. Maybe this was only the beginning. But now, the real question loomed. What did this mean for them? Hey, before you go, I need you to do something incredible. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even a second longer to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Your response matters.